I said, I've been there too. And I know the temptation is to just lay on the couch and cover your head with a blanket. I said, but the more you do, the better you'll feel.
Yeah.
So just make yourself get up, do something, do something.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same way with business. When it gets rough, you have to do something.
Yeah.
You just have to take a breath and recharge and redesign your plan.
This is the Main Street Reimagined podcast, a show for people ready to turn visions into realities and ideas into businesses. Hey, I'm Luke Henry, and each week I lead conversations with Main Street dreamers who took the leap to launch a business, renovate a building, or start a movement. Their ideas, their mindsets, and their inspirations, as well as some of the highs and lows along the way. This is a place for dreamers, creators, developers, and entrepreneurs to learn, share, and be inspired to change your community through small business. Enjoy the show. Hey friends, this is the Main Street Reimagined podcast. Thanks so much for being back with us here. I'm excited for another conversation today and looking forward to digging out some gold nuggets that you can also take and use in your business, in your ventures, or share with someone else who might find value. So today I'm excited to have Sandi Weddington with me from Blend of Seven Winery. Hey, Sandi.
Hey there. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to have you here and excited to dig into the conversation. Sandi and her husband, Steve, are the really latest entrepreneurs to hit the Downtown Marion streets with their business here, Blend of Seven Winery. And so if folks, you're not quite open yet as of the recording here, it's literally day to day waiting on your permit to finalize. It's if people haven't been through it before, it's quite a process.
Yes, it is.
And you're kind of at the mercy of others to how that comes. But as soon as that piece of paper gets in your hand, you're right to open the door. So by the time this airs, who knows? You might be officially open.
Who knows? It would be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. But so if folks haven't been in, maybe they're listening in the future and you are open, but they haven't made it in yet. Tell them a little bit about Blend of Seven, your new location here in Downtown Marion, and what all you offer there or going to be offering there.
Okay. We will be at 146 West Center Street. It's a very lovely building. We had some great bones and aesthetics to start with. So I'm really excited with the space that we created. People would come into our old spot and just said they felt like they were walking into our home. So we kind of wanted to continue that feeling, and add some upscale notes in there as well. So we're really excited about the space and anxious to get open. We make wine from juice. So we have wines from right here in Ohio as well as all around the world. So that's kind of a unique twist that we have on it. So we'll have our wines, and then I also have a cottage kitchen. So we'll have some of my home baked goods, pies, cakes, cookies, breads, good things like that.
Yeah. So all the good stuff there to be had, food, drink, and conversation.
Absolutely.
And it is just a beautiful space, really cozy, and you've got the historic elements that just add so much charm with exposed brick, original hardwood floors, the pressed tin ceilings in part of the space, and just really neat. So I'm excited for you to be able to welcome people in, and just such a great kind of laid back environment for them to be able to hang out with friends, whether it's for the entire evening or maybe it's to stop in for a glass or a bottle with friends before going to one of the eateries around town. So
absolutely. Yes. And I'm going to partner with some of the local restaurants downtown as well, where people will be able to order their food. Some will deliver it. Some they'll have to have delivered, so they'll be able to have a meal there too if they want.
Yeah, absolutely. You got plenty of room, tables, chairs. You've got the bar there to walk up to and do tastings and all of that. So I know that you're excited to get people in there. I've been able to have a behind the scenes look, so I'm kind of fortunate. I've watched the process come together and see your vision come to life. So that's been exciting to see. So I want to dig in a little bit, kind of rewinding to the beginning of the journey. Your story is really fascinating and unique in that you and Steve both have ties here to Marion, although your most recent location, where you've been for how many years?
So 14.
14 years in Delaware,
Yes.
Which if folks don't know, that's like one county south, so 25 minutes away. And so you're actually relocating your business to Marion, but that's not by coincidence.
No,
You
we're
have
coming
roots here.
home.
And yeah, so tell us a little bit about the story of kind of growing up around here, and then where all you've been that kind of brought you back, including starting this business with Steve,
Right.
and where your name came from and all of that.
Okay. Well, Steve was born and raised in Marion, graduated from Harding. I always get it wrong. I think I graduated in 82. He graduated in 77, I think.
Okay.
So
All right.
I always get it wrong, but I think it's 77.
Okay.
So he's a Marion boy through and through. He grew up in the city. Then I was actually born in Mansfield, but when I was 10, my parents bought Plaza Bowling Center, which is
Yes.
now Blue Fusion, for those that may or may not know. So from age 10 to probably my mid 40s, I lived in Marion. At the time when the kids graduated, I was working in Columbus. So we moved to Delaware to kind of so I would have a little less of a drive. But we still have a lot of friends here. We have some family here. So it was a surprise, kind of. I was looking forward to coming back home to a small town again. But then what surprised me about it is how it was comforting, because we were kind of ending a chapter and starting a new, and in some ways it was a hard pill to swallow because we're downsizing, but we're doing it with purpose. But in the beginning it was kind of hard. So coming home, knowing that we have friends here, family here, it was very comforting. So that was good.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And I mean, people are very excited to have you opening, and it seems like kind of old friends and acquaintances are sort of popping up out of the woodwork. I see some of that on social media as people are waving virtually and everything,
Right.
or commenting and expressing their well wishes, and so it seems like some of those are kind of blasts from the past.
Oh, absolutely.
From both of your histories here. So share a little bit about where the winemaking started in this process, and where the name Blend of Seven came from.
All right. As far as the name, it was one of those things. Once we decided to do the business, I had written our names down, our Steve and mine, and all the kids, and trying to use a different letter from each of the names to come up with a name. And it was one of those aha moments when you're like brushing your teeth or washing dishes. I'm pretty sure I was washing dishes, and it was like, Blend of Seven, because Steve and I were both married before, so we're a blended family, and between the two of us we have 5 kids. And we're a family of 7. So you blend wine, and we're a family of 7. So that's where we're a blended family, blend wine. So that's where Blend of Seven came from.
Very good.
And that's what we're very family oriented about our family, and we respect that about other people too. So it kind of highlights the things that are most important to us.
Yeah. I love that. So, so this all started with a winemaking kit,
Yes.
if I remember the story correctly, right?
Yeah. So it was about 2008. Steve and I, you have to sometimes reconnect because we've been together for a long time. So we started doing date days. We just get in the car and drive. And one day Steve was like, "Hey, I'm not crazy about wine, but I know you like it. Let's go to a winery." So, and I guess from there we both got the bug as far as he found some wines that he liked to drink. So that was cool. We converted him a little bit there.
Right.
But we just kind of fell in love with the atmosphere, talking to the owners and the other people that were there. Cause it's like you sit down at a bar and you're having a heartfelt conversation with a stranger within 10 minutes, So, and we were enjoying drinking the wine. So he's like, I wonder what it would be to make some wine, wonder what's involved. So one year for our anniversary, I got him some wine kits, and he started making the wine and liking it. And next thing you know, we have 6-10 carboys going in the house because the kids would walk up to the front door like, "What's that smell?" And I said, "Doesn't it smell good?" But fermenting wine is an acquired taste because it has a little different scent in the beginning. And then his job was downsized. His position was downsized after almost 30 years. Unexpectedly. So it was like, well, we like doing this. Why don't I'm going to look to see what it takes to do it as a business. So I did the research, and we actually added a 12 by 14 room onto our house because it had to be a separate room and its own water source and all this stuff. So we got it, started doing it out of our home with private tastings. And people could host, and we would charge them, I think, like $5 a head or whatever. And everybody that came could taste whatever wines we had open. So we were doing that, and we were doing $500 at each of these gatherings. And I'm like, maybe it's time to find our own space. So we looked around and found the place on London Road, which was a 1,400 square foot space that we rented. And so we opened there in 2013. And we were there about 6 months and realized it was too small. So we started looking, and it took us a while to find the property on Stratford Road. So we opened there in October of 2015, and we went from the 1,400 square foot space to a 4,400 square foot space.
Big upgrade.
Big upgrade, yeah. And then, of course, we had the full kitchen there and a large tasting room and a private room. And
Yeah, that was previously the Branding Iron restaurant. A lot of folks locally will remember it as that.
Absolutely.
Kind of a Delaware icon for many years.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, and so you've been there for 14 years. And that was a big undertaking.
Yes.
You're both working in the business.
Absolutely, every day.
Now, did you have any other family working in the business in and out over those years? Or?
Oh, yeah, that was kind of, I think, one of the joys of having that. Pretty much all of the kids have helped us at one point or another. Our one boy, Kyle, he and his family are in Toledo, but there are times that he's come and helped us with remodeling projects and things like that. So at some point, they have all had their hands helping us, and that's been awesome.
Yeah. And probably what made it a little bit hard to move on from that chapter.
Yes. And we've had some of our grandkids have worked with us as well. So it's been awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I love family businesses for that reason. You know, it can be tough to work with family sometimes because they're kind of that line between work and family or work and family time. But at the same time, it could be just a real joy because you're kind of all at your best. You're working together, pitching in and kind of working towards a common goal and serving customers and just being able to share that experience is really unique and a lot of fun.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
You've obviously
Memories.
that. Yes. Yeah. We have some of those that we've made as well and talk about them often. So then we met because you all reached out about another space actually that we had for rent, and it was a fair bit smaller, and you were kind of thinking about downsizing, kind of looking at, hey, this has been, a great ride, 14 years in Delaware, and you won quite a few awards during that time also. We need to be sure to mention.
Yes.
Tell us about those awards and what that involved.
So in the Delaware area they have, it's called Reader's Digest, Reader's Choice, not Reader's Digest, Reader's Choice through the Delaware Gazette. So basically, patrons can vote on their favorite places in Delaware. The best winery became an option in 2018. And we've actually won it every year since it started. Yeah. So that's like every year it's awesome. And at the same time, it's more pressure. Oh my gosh, can we do it again next year?
Yeah.
But so that's pretty cool. So that'll be opening up again, the voting for that here at the end of the month. So.
Okay. Yeah. So congratulations on that through that time. But in doing all that, you're running really a restaurant, a winery, a bakery, an event venue. And you guys were kind of getting to the point where like, maybe we want to get this to kind of back to our roots a little bit, where it's just the winery, maybe a little bit of the other stuff, but not on the grand scale.
Yes.
And so you'd reached out, kind of thinking about, hey, coming back to Marion with your roots and coming back to live here, work here. And so we met, and it was an interesting way that all played out, because the space that we looked at, you said this could work, and I said, I'm in the process of buying another building. I know you have this listed. Yeah, we haven't even closed, but I think that this could be a really great spot for you. And you guys were game to go check it out. So we looked at it, and I think it was pretty obvious kind of right away that it's like, okay, yeah. This is the space. So
this is definitely the space. And what's really cool about it is the basement that's underneath. So we have, if things go really well, we have that extra space down there that we can figure out something to do with.
Yeah.
So we can grow if we need to grow.
Yeah, yeah. So when we went to 146 West Center Street, you guys saw the vision, I think, very quickly. And then again, as we mentioned earlier, you've been working diligently to bring that
We are
vision
very
to
tired.
reality. Yes, yeah, with paint and decor and just little touches and upgrades, and of course, let alone bringing all your winemaking
Yes.
equipment and supplies and all of that came with it. It was a bit of a journey, but I think worthwhile.
Oh,
here
absolutely.
In the end, I know that we don't have to go into detail, but again, just kind of being real about the entrepreneurial journey that we find ourselves on sometimes. You guys came here fully expecting that your prior location was sold.
Sold, yes.
All but sold. And
Yeah, we
we're
had a
moving
closing
forward.
date. It was just a matter of moments.
Yeah. And that fell through like quite literally in the 11th hour.
Yeah.
And has been very challenging for you. And again, I think there's probably someone out there listening that's either experienced that, maybe they're going through something right now. And it can be very difficult to be, on the one hand, excited about something new starting, but also on the other hand, really frustrated, disappointed, and maybe scared that
Absolutely,
things are not playing out the way that you hoped. But as entrepreneurs do, it's adapt and overcome.
Exactly. Yeah. You absolutely have to be flexible. You can't, tunnel vision is not an option. You have to be able to see the big picture, see the end game. Sometimes it's a long-term sacrifice for a long-term gain. Sometimes it's a short-term sacrifice for a long-term gain. But you definitely the biggest challenge is removing yourself from the situation, I think, so that you can open your mind and your eyes to see what you're not seeing, because you're like, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to go. So you get that tunnel vision. So you have to really work hard sometimes to step back and take a breath, look at everything and say, okay, this is where I want to go. This was my original plan, but now I'm over here. So how do I get back to the road?
Yeah.
So you definitely have to be flexible, take a breath, step back, maybe reach out to other people. Sometimes it's family, sometimes it's new acquaintances, and say, this is what I have going on. How do you think, what are your thoughts? And don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah. Yeah. Who are some folks that have kind of helped through those times for you?
Steve and I definitely rely on each other a lot. Sometimes we have a good relationship with two of our bankers. So sometimes I'm like, Brian, I'm stuck here. I can't see it anymore. Can you come take a look at this and help me figure out how do we get past this junction? I'm going to get emotional today. It's crazy. But anyway, and I think about my parents and watching them all the years and how they would get by. And they just didn't quit.
Yeah.
It gets hard.
Yes.
But you just have to. And sometimes even not quitting is taking a break.
Yeah.
To let your mind and body recharge, because you can get exhausted physically, mentally. So I think just watching them over the years, despite where they were, they never stopped and they never quit.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I believe that your children and grandchildren are watching as well.
I hope so.
Yeah, I believe that they're learning through your tenacity and resolve to bridge these gaps and get through these challenges as well. And I think there's probably someone out there listening that needs to hear this message as well. And that is just that things rarely go as planned.
Exactly.
And truly, those that are successful over those that are not are the ones that just don't quit.
Exactly.
And
there is a book I read recently. Our youngest grandchild has cerebral palsy. And I can't think of the gentleman's name that wrote it, but he has cerebral palsy, and it's just called Just One Step or One More Step. And I see anybody that's going through life and through a hard time, it's a really good read. Wow. I mean, it's not a super long book. It didn't take me long to read it. I tell you, at some points it makes you feel really lazy.
Yeah.
Because of what this guy went through, and he just the things that he accomplished, and it's just like, okay, get over it, clear your mind, recharge your body, let's get to it.
Yeah.
So just one more step.
Yeah.
Just one more step.
Yeah, that's really good. Really good. Yeah, I think there are those times, and I think that wisdom is being able to discern the times when maybe you need to take a step back, you need to take a day off, you need to take a drive, a walk, or whatever. And those other times where you need to just suck it up
Yep.
and just keep walking, one step at a time and getting through to where you need to go.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
that's not always easy
No.
to discern which it is.
Right.
Sometimes it's both.
Right.
I think you take a little rest and then keep going.
One of my dad's biggest thing was fake it till you make it. It doesn't matter how you feel. You still got to do it.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I was thinking about a conversation I had with someone just a few days ago, and they were talking to a younger person in their organization that they were kind of frustrated with because they quit their shift early because they just, quote, weren't feeling it that day. And this leader I was talking about just said, I had to look at her and say, I don't feel like doing it sometimes, but we show up, we do the work, and we get it done.
Yeah.
And sometimes in doing so, then we start to feel it.
Exactly.
You got to do the thing first, and then you start to feel it. If you wait for the feelings to come, it's probably never going to get done, right?
Yeah. I had a similar conversation with my niece a few weeks ago because she's going through a rough time. And I'm like, I said, I've been there too. And I know the temptation is to just lay on the couch and cover your head with a blanket. I said, but the more you do, the better you'll feel.
Yeah.
So just make yourself get up, do something, do something.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the same way with business. When it gets rough, you have to do something.
Yeah.
You just have to take a breath and recharge and redesign your plan.
Really good. Yep, I agree. So tell me, kind of thinking back, I know it's been a while now since you first started, but we like to talk on this about the leap, which is that moment in time where you'd been doing the hobby thing, you'd been kind of talking, you'd been kind of dreaming, maybe you'd chit chat on a long drive about, maybe someday we'd do, this thing. And now you're really considering doing it, and you're walking to the end of the diving board, and you actually have to jump off. Do you remember what that was like, and some of those emotions and some of the conversations between you and Steve to say, let's really go after this thing. Let's do it.
So we were both had full-time jobs. He was working a different job from the one that his position was eliminated. And, we didn't have the income that we had before, but we were, paying our bills and enjoying life. And we'd been, like I said, been doing it for a hobby, and we talked about it, and it was like, okay, we started it with the idea, like, this is either going to be an expensive hobby, a little extra income, or who knows, maybe it would turn into business that maybe one day one of our kids or grandkids would want to take over. So we kind of, when we started with the idea, okay, we're going to start this, and we'll let it show us where we need to go. So as it grows, or if it grows, then we'll grow with it. So we kind of started it hoping that it would turn into a business that a kid or one of our grandkids would take over. But I think we were open to doing to whatever it went to.
Yeah. But it was just, let's give it a shot. Was it just kind
absolutely.
of, I guess?
I mean, we took, when we, starting from the house wasn't too bad because there wasn't a lot of costs. So the biggest leap was when we went to that first space on London Road.
Yeah.
That was. Yeah. So when we did it, it was like, okay, we're going to find a place that we can afford, whether we have one customer or 100 customers a week, whatever it was. So we started out really small. And the crazy thing about that was we signed the lease on a Saturday for that space. And that following Monday, had been with Kohl's for almost 10 years, was actually a district admin at the time. And that Monday when I went to work, I found out our district was being eliminated. And so was my job.
Oh, wow.
So like, okay, well, this is interesting. But it actually worked out because as an employer, they're a great employer. So like, these are your options. You can go into a store, keep your same pay rate. We won't deduct your pay. But I didn't really want to go back to doing the closes, the mids, the opens all in 1 week, because it's hard on the body. So, or we can, we give you 6 months severance and you'll get unemployment. So I took the severance package and the unemployment, because I knew that would allow me then to be at the business full time right from the get go and help it get off to the best start.
Yeah. Yeah. So really 2 job losses in a fairly short amount of time.
Yes.
Is what propelled you to kind of do this.
Yes,
if life went on easy and, the same old,
right.
you maybe wouldn't have had the impetus to get it going.
No, we would have probably just stayed in our lives that were comfortable with a comfortable income.
Yeah.
But this was also an opportunity for us to get back to the income that we had before that likely wasn't going to happen. Because when Steve's position was downsized, he was on the cusp of up going to almost 50. And people say age discrimination doesn't exist in hiring, but it does. It does. He just couldn't find, because of his age, more than anything, he just couldn't find anything in the same field that was going to pay him what he was making before. Yeah. So this really allowed us to start over in a better place.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what a story. So, the thing I hear as well here is that you've been here before. Yes. Where things were uncertain and things didn't go as planned, and ended up that was really a blessing in disguise.
Exactly.
Right?
I always tell people, be careful what you pray for.
Yeah.
Because we were going through a tough time, and it was like, okay, Lord, I said, I was praying for financial independence. I didn't know that financial independence in God's version was a complete reset.
Right. Yeah.
So
took a dip through unemployment and outright fear of where the next mortgage payment's going to come from, the next rent payment. Then you committed to this space. And all of that. And those can be scary.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's legitimate fear involved with that. And I think that's what hangs up so many would-be entrepreneurs, is they get to that point and maybe they have something that propels them forward, like you said, or maybe they're just so darn comfortable that they don't have that thing that's forcing them in.
Right.
But the people that I've seen get out there and do it, take the leap and be successful, are the ones that did it scared.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You did it scared.
We did it scared. And, and don't wait. I always tell people, I said, I really wish we'd have done this 10 years sooner.
Wow.
So don't wait. The younger you are, the more energy you have, the more resilient you are. So just don't wait. Plan it. Have a plan. Have a backup plan.
Sure.
When years or times are good, sock away that money, because at some point they're not going to be so good and you're going to need it.
Yeah. That's great advice.
Yeah.
How have you seen those cycles in your now, 14, 15 years of business that you've been doing this? Surely there's been some ups and downs.
Absolutely.
And how did you guys go about kind of planning for those or managing through the lean and the good times?
Yeah. I think it's one of the hardest things to do. And I'm certainly not perfect at it, because, when things are really good, you're like, I want this, I can afford this. I'll take it. So you have to really reel in those desires and those wants. And do I really need that? Or, is that going to enrich my life, or is it just a comfort thing or a luxury item, So you have to watch those kind of things. And I did, as I got older and after experiences of needing it, I did get better with socking away a little money here and there, just in case. I've never been so good. People always say you want to have 6 to 9 months. I'm like, I don't know how they do that, but so it's good to have that plan and a backup plan. And when you have the money, try to put some of it away.
Yeah.
As much as possible.
Yeah. 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 It's hard to have that discipline. Sometimes the thing that makes entrepreneurs great, which is, taking those risks and driving hard and kind of taking things to the red line sometimes also can backfire.
Yes.
So having some people around, whether that's a spouse or someone else in the organization, a friend, a mentor, that can kind of help balance, can be very helpful.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
and if you're not great with money, find somebody that you trust.
Yes.
That is good with money, and let them be in charge of your money. Keep an eye on it, of course, because you never know what might happen. But let them help you.
Yeah, yeah. How did it go as you and Steve started working together day to day? Because it's different being married and working together, right? So you probably quickly figured that out. And how did you start to get into the rhythm of kind of dividing tasks and kind of staying out of each other's way and being respectful of kind of the boundaries of those roles, just like you would in a job? You don't go take someone else's part of their job if that's what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny. And what does Steve says? Like, he goes, "Yeah, I don't mess in her kitchen, and she doesn't mess in my wine." When we were at the other place, and I was in the kitchen a lot. But no, yeah, we definitely have our shouldered responsibilities that are pretty much 100% ours. And he utilizes my my palate, when we're making some new wines, and I usually come up with ideas on blending the wines. But he makes the wine. When we were in Delaware, he was primarily out front. With the kitchen and staffing issues, I was drawn more into the kitchen, so it kind of became more a back of the house. So that's one of the things I'm looking forward to, is having more interaction every day with our customers out front. And but yeah, we definitely have our things that we take care of, and not every spouse or every couple can work together, but it has worked for us. And I guess one of the things that helps us too is he's a morning person, so he'll get up about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. So he has a few hours on his own. And then I usually have a few hours at night because he falls asleep before I do. So we have our time of just chilling and not having each other. But no, thankfully we do partner well. We partner well in life, and we partner well in our business.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to figure out those rhythms that work.
Yes.
Like, really, again, in life and in business, finding, those rhythms. And that takes a little bit of time, but with intention, and that can come together. Talking a little bit about the wines themselves, speak to, what makes your wines particularly unique, and, why is it that you guys have won the awards that you have, and, what kind of feedback do you get from customers that makes your wines and your winery different than some of the others out there?
Okay. I think our customer service has definitely been what has kept us on the Reader's Choice best list, because whether you walk in the winery one time, or you're a regular that comes in every week or every month or every few months, or whatever, we try to welcome people as soon as they walk in the door. We want them to feel comfortable. We want them to feel like a friend. And we've had customers that are now probably going to be lifelong friends. So that's just the environment that we foster. And when we hire people, it's like, okay, this is what's important. Yeah. Just take care of the customer, make them feel comfortable. So that's one of our first priorities.
Yeah, for sure.
And then we both take pride in whatever we do. So Steve is very consistent with his process and how we make the wine. As far as the flavors, we both like food and we both like flavor. So we have fun with playing around with different combinations, or adding, like we have our Ricky's Peach Tree is a blend of 2 Ohio whites, and we add a natural peach flavoring. So you get that wonderful peach flavor, but it's not super sweet. We were not afraid to blend 2 wines together. When we were at the old space, we would infuse some of the wines with alcohol. We can't necessarily do that now because we don't have a liquor license, but so we're just not afraid. We're just throw it together, and if it works, awesome. If it doesn't, we make sangria out of it. So
there you go.
There's a win-win.
Yeah. I love that. It's interesting. You talked about the consistency.
Yes.
That is, I think, something that's often overlooked, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's whatever product someone is making. The consistency is so key.
Absolutely.
Because if someone comes in and they, love, this particular wine, and and then the next time they come in, they're like, oh, this tastes different. I don't like it as well as I did the last time, but they're telling me it's the same. Then that obviously can be very off-putting.
Yes.
And the same, if it's a restaurant or a bakery or whatever, I think that sometimes, again, the entrepreneurial spirit can be a little too free-spirited, always trying to kind of change things up and whatever. But being able to find something that's really consistent and making sure if you're working with teams and everyone knows there's recipes and processes and checklists and all of that are being really followed to the letter. So
that's vital. That's when they had the kitchen. That was one of the biggest things when I was training our team members in the kitchen. Is like, okay, this has to be the same whether I make it, Susie makes it, or Ray makes it. So we had little cheat portions, like whether it was a bowl or a measuring cup or whatever. I said it needs to be the same amount of cheese, the same amount of sauce, the same amount of whatever ingredient was going in that. And and then to take pride when you put it together.
Yeah, that's really good. Okay. Well, I know that there are a lot of people that are looking forward to trying these wines that are, newly introduced to you, and I know you're just as eager to allow them to try. So
eager and still afraid, because it's like you want to get the doors open. It was like, okay, I think we're ready. We have everything in place. What could go wrong? Because something always goes wrong.
Yeah. As a little bit of a teaser, what are a few other kind of fan favorites that are typically your recommendations?
As far as our sweet wines, it's the Kimmy K's, which is a Chardonnay sweetened with acai and raspberry. The Ricky's Peach Tree. We have one called Say What. It tastes like a lime margarita. It's kind of fun. That's why we call it Say What, because I tell people if you serve it in a rocks glass with a salted rim and hide the bottle, people's like, man, this is what is this? And I'm like, you're drinking wine. And they're going to say, what? Because they're not going to believe it's not a real margarita.
Wow. That's, incredibly unique.
Yeah. And we have some real good, some really nice dry reds. We have our Allie's Diablo Rojo, which is our granddaughter named that one. So, and that's the other thing, a lot of our wines are either named by our kids, for our kids, or for our family.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah. Yeah, I think that those experiences are just so unique.
Yeah.
And that's what people seek out. They seek out experiences and they seek out authenticity. And especially when they can go somewhere and see the process, I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
And so I know that at your new location, you kind of have some of your winemaking process that's exposed.
Yeah.
So they can actually see the carboys that are sitting on the rack, and these are these are becoming the wines that are in the bottles.
Absolutely.
across the way and on the rack.
Yeah,
that are completed.
Yes, right. Steve wasn't for sure about that in the beginning. I'm like, no, it'll be really cool. I said, think about some of the places that we've been, and you can see these things. I think it'll be all right.
Yeah. I think that's really neat. I think I'd shared with you. We were recently in Italy, and we're at a place where they had that, where it was on display, and you could see the process and see it happening, and you could have the winemaker explaining some of the process. I mean, that's just so fascinating. So I think people really enjoy that experience and being able to see how it's made and kind of how the whole process works. So that's exciting.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, very good. Well, we've talked about some of the joys. We've talked about some of the challenges and lessons learned along the way. I mean, I think this has been so applicable to a lot of different types of businesses, whether they're, kind of in the sort of hospitality or food and beverage industry, or if they have a retail store or a service business. A lot of what we've talked about applies in terms of being able to overcome challenges and be resilient through unknown times and some of those. So I really appreciate you sharing those experiences. I always love to ask, what's your if you have other favorite inspirational or educational resources, books, podcasts, YouTube channels, that sort of thing that you draw on when, maybe it's an everyday thing, or maybe it's just through some of those challenging times.
Again, it's just, my parents, just their fortitude and what they went through. And my dad had cancer, and, it had gone undetected, and he ended up that actually broke the bone and then spread throughout his body. But through that, he had to have his leg amputated, and he was one heck of an athlete, and just to see his courage and strength and resiliency after losing that, and just still going.
Yeah.
Still going ahead. So, I mean, that's huge. Like I said, the book that I had,
Yes.
People like such as yourself that have, obviously you started with a leap and just seeing what you do. And I take inspiration from all around.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities if we open our eyes and look, and whether it's someone getting through a personal struggle and you look at them and say, man, how did they recover from that?
Yeah.
Or if it's someone building their business, or some people like to call it empires, whatever you call it. There's a lot of inspiration around if you open your eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. I agree. I think that there's a lot to be learned from everyone around us. And you've mentioned some great examples, and I certainly can see how those have inspired you as you've went along your journey. And again, I think the ability to, essentially what you said earlier, was kind of disconnect emotionally, to be able to take the situation in more objectively. We get so emotionally wrapped up in
Absolutely.
situations, and it honestly blinds our good sense, doesn't it? Where we kind of lose the opportunity to look at the situation. And one of the sayings that I use that is helpful is, instead of saying, why is this happening to me? I say, why is this happening for me? And what
That's great.
how can I, turn this situation to be able to say, hey, this, we both lost our job.
Right. Make it an opportunity.
Let's
not a
take that
circumstance.
opportunity to start a business. In the end, hindsight's 20/20, as they say, and you can look back and say, gosh, if we hadn't done that, or if we hadn't had that happen for us, we likely wouldn't have started this business and wouldn't be where we are today and have the richness of the relationships that you've developed through along the way. And so, it's so easy to see in retrospect. And if we can try to keep that perspective in the present day, I know that I struggle with that. It's easier said than done.
Oh, right. Well, and in hindsight being 2020, I try to remind people too, they'll beat up on themselves. It's like, why didn't I see this coming? I should have seen this coming years ago. And well, hindsight's always 20/20.
Yeah.
And if you had that sight as foresight, then you wouldn't be here. But stop beating yourself up, because we have to, as we go through whatever we're doing, whether it's business or life, we can only make a decision based on the information we have at the time.
That's right.
In hindsight, you get information after the fact. So you made the best choice you can.
Yeah.
So let's just redirect and get back on the path.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's a good place to end, Sandi. We'll kind of land the plane here, but I really appreciate your time and your sharing and your vulnerability as well. Sharing about the experience. I think that there's a lot, again, that'll be taken away in terms of inspiration and education for folks that come to listen to this, whether it's next week or next year. But I definitely want to give you an opportunity to share again where people are going to be able to find you very, very soon, and how to follow along with your journey, social media, and all that as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. We have website, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So whatever your pleasure, find us there. And we'll be at 146 West Center Street. It's on the corner of Center Street and Prospect. It's in a nice, unique location. As you said, the building is just beautiful inside. We'll have on-street parking, plus after 5 and on the weekends, there is plenty of parking behind. So you can enter in the front or the back.
Yes, great mention there. So yeah, just Blend of Seven Winery on all of those platforms, and follow along. You do a good job of sharing hours and specials and all those things. So, and of course, grand opening dates will also be shared there. So if you haven't gotten quite open when this airs, we'll make sure that people want to follow along there, and you'll be sharing just as soon as you can.
You bet.
You'll be anxious to get there. So thanks again, Sandi. Thanks again to all of our listeners for tuning in, and we appreciate you. Hopefully, again, you took something away here. If you know someone who needs to hear the message that Sandi shared today, please share this episode with them. It would mean a lot to me. I'd consider it a personal favor to help spread the word of our podcast and the work that we're trying to do to empower and encourage entrepreneurs, dreamers, doers that are doing work on Main Street and beyond in lots of different communities. So thanks again for tuning in, and we hope to catch you next time on the Main Street Reimagine podcast.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Main Street Reimagine podcast. To learn more about Main Street Reimagined, Henry Development Group, or our work in downtown Marion, Ohio, please visit mainstreetreimagine.com. If you want to connect, or if you know someone who we need to interview, shoot us an email at info@mainstreetreimagine.com. Until next time, keep dreaming and don't be afraid to take the leap.